Hey guys, how you doing? This is John, Gamester81, and welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to take a closer look at a cartridge I picked up in Vegas this past year at the Classic Gaming Expo. Here it is. This is the Colecovision Multicart. This is an annual expo. If you guys ever have an opportunity to go to the Classic Gaming Expo, please do. This has got pretty much every Colecovision game ever made on this one cartridge. It's pretty badass if you ask me. I have a special place in the Colecovision because it was my very first system ever growing up. I used to play this all the time. In fact, I still play the system every once in a while, and it still holds up today, even though it did back then. So let's take a close look at the cartridge, see what games are on here, and let's review some games for the Colecovision. Thanks for watching. Here we are with the main menu screen. This cartridge has 154 different Colecovision games in one. There's around 150 Colecovision games total that officially were released. There's a whole bunch of homebrews that are on the market currently today. And this game actually includes some prototypes and some homebrews as well. First game I'm going to show you is Burger Time. Data East released Burger Time in the arcade in 1982. This is a home port to the Colecovision and probably one of the better home ports you'll find for a retro system. This was also ported to the Nintendo Entertainment System, which I'm sure many of you guys might have played as well. The object of the game is your Peter Pepper. You don't have necessarily any weapons. You do have a pepper shaker, which will stun your enemy temporarily, but you can kill him by smashing, which I just did, or get him on top of a patty and walking over it, which I'm going to do right here. The object is to complete a burger at the bottom, and there's a lot of different levels. It gets very challenging. There's a number of different enemies. It's a great game with a great soundtrack. Next, we have Popeye, which is a game published by Nintendo, based on the classic Popeye arcade by Nintendo. In the Colecovision system in general, what you'll find is there's a lot of third-party support. You had publishers including Nintendo, Sega, and even Atari, just to name a few. Here, the object of the game is you are Popeye, and you're supposed to collect all the hearts that Olive Oyl shoots at you. And once you collect all the hearts, you'll move on to the next stage. There are 4 stages, and there's different items that she'll do to you. So, for example, this stage there's hearts, and this stage there's notes. She's singing you a song. And the only way you can destroy Bluto is to collect the can of spinach. Once you do that, it'll give you a temporary time frame where you can knock him down temporarily. You gotta avoid the flying bottles as well. This is a classic game to check out for the Colecovision, also ported to a lot of different home consoles. I had not mentioned the Star Wars arcade when talking about Colecovision games. This was released by Atari and based on the classic arcade machine released in 1983. The graphics obviously are not the vector graphics like the original, so it does an okay job as far as I'm concerned. The music is fantastic, but one thing I do not like about this game are the controls. Using the clumsy Colecovision control stick, down is up is down. It gets very, very confusing to use, but still a great game to check out nevertheless. Wow, this game right here, Smurfs Rescue in Gargamels Castle, definitely throws back a lot of memories for me, because that picture I showed you in the intro of this video is me actually 4 years old playing this exact game. The object of this game is to rescue Smurfette from Gargamel. Although you never actually see Gargamel in this game, you do see Smurfette at the very end. It's important to avoid any obstacles in this game, including weeds and grass, because if you actually hit that, you die, and you only have about 5 guys from the start of the game. Here's a different stage. We're in the cave, getting ready to go to Gargamels Castle, and there it is in the background. There is a really funny glitch that I do want to point out to you. At the very end, when you see Smurfette, if you go back a screen, you actually see Smurfette go topless for a split second, which is kind of interesting. But you have to double jump to get on the skull, and double jump again to get to Smurfette. This game was also ported to the Atari 2600, although these are the only 2 systems that this was on. Here we have Jungle Hunt. This is brought to the Colecovision by Atari, but this was based on the arcade game released by Taito in 1982. Now, initially when this game was released, it was called Jungle King, and the character looked a lot like Tarzan, so much in fact that the company who owned the rights to Tarzan sued Taito. So quickly they took it off, they changed it up, they took the character and they put a hat on him, some clothes, and they made him look quite a bit different, but the same gameplay. Here's the second stage where you're swimming, you're supposed to avoid these alligators. You have your oxygen levels in the very top right corner, so you gotta make sure you get up to air. And you have a knife so you can attack the gators, but make sure you do it while the mouth is closed, otherwise you will die. Here is the third part of the game, and where you have these boulders. The smaller ones you're supposed to jump over, and the bigger ones you're supposed to run underneath. This progressively gets harder, and as you beat the game, it just continues to repeat and repeat and gets harder and harder and harder. The last stage, you have the woman, and you're supposed to rescue her from these warriors. This is very tricky. You have to time it just right. You only have 3 lives in this game, and there's no continues. I always found it interesting that Atari made games for the ColecoVision because they had the Atari 2600 at the time and the 5200. But they did, and the games are actually fairly rare to find. I want to show you Super Donkey Kong, which is a homebrew. It has the original cutscenes that the arcade had. The original Donkey Kong for the ColecoVision did not have it, though the added version for the computer did have it. One thing you'll notice about this version compared to the arcade, which was released by Nintendo in 1981, is that Donkey Kong is in the top right corner, whereas in the arcade, he's in the top left corner. Donkey Kong was actually a packing game for the ColecoVision, making it sell a lot more systems than it probably would have if it wasn't packed in. This game was very popular in the arcades, and this is a pretty true port for a home console back in the day. Here we have Moonsweeper, which is a great game for the ColecoVision, and I just wanted to show you this because it shows off graphically what the ColecoVision could do back in the day. If you like games like Galaga and shooting games, this is definitely one to put on your checklist to get and try out. In all honesty, it is convenient having this cartridge because it has pretty much every single ColecoVision game ever made. However, in truth, I will continue going out collecting cartridge games for the ColecoVision because I enjoy as a collector and as a gamer going out there and finding things in the wild. So this will definitely not hinder my collecting spirit. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'm curious, what is your favorite ColecoVision game? Thanks for watching. Take care.